down and say, sorry, dead Uncle Fred, I can't deal with you right now. I'm sitting down with a meal with my family. Let's deal with this later.
Can you can take a message and he can call you back and you can resume it? Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, but in the beginning, I didn't know I had that opportunity to say no. I thought that it showed up, I had to deal with it right then. So for several weeks, that was my experience of just kind of dealing with all this stuff that was bombarding my experience and learning that I could say yes, no, and really choose things in this and not feel like it was taking over my life.
And you had a wonderful experience just recently as well, that you ended up meeting your other half, shall we say? Yes. I'm not sure if you like the word soulmate or twin flame, but I was very exhilarated for you when I heard the wonderful news.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I haven't dated in 4 years. I believe that also was intended for me to be alone during that time, to really learn how to drive this new car and get comfortable in this new skin. And when I was ready, my mirror reflection in a partner came forward. I didn't have to do anything. It just all happened.
So again, people feeling they need to do all this work in order to find the one, it really is, again, just staying true to themselves and their passion and doing what they usually do and following that and trusting that when the right time comes, they will be brought to you.
It will. You've mapped this out for yourself perfectly. And I say to people, you know, what happens when you go outside and you chase a butterfly? It will always elude you. And you're so in your mind about catching that butterfly that you don't notice that maybe if you just sat down, it would land on your shoulder. You know?
That's the thing about cats. As soon as I see one, I get so excited. I have to go and grab them right away. Of course, that energy is that's like dog energy, right? You get excited in front of a dog will get excited and run to you. But you do that with a cat, they're gone. But if you ignore the cat, pretend like you didn't even see it, it's like, hey, why are you paying attention to me and my awesomeness? I'm just going to sit right on your computer, you know? And then they'll let you pet them and rub them. So, yeah, that's definitely a great metaphor to explain that. For love, too.
Yeah, for love, totally. I mean, these people are so busy on dating sites and going to, to places searching. Just breathe and don't resist. It's here. It's already here. It's already mapped. It's already perfect. And there's no need to rush it. You can't.
And life did not forget about you. So many people feel like they've been forgotten about, but
they get caught in that comparison. My friend Mary met her perfect match. Why can't I? They're caught in the comparisons and the expectations. And as soon as we drop those and just be in joy, joy finds us.
That's right. Yeah. And you did your inner work, though, too. You really had a beautiful relationship with yourself. You did know yourself and you did love yourself. And in a sense, you were preparing yourself in that way so that once that was finally done, you reached a certain point, then he was able to come into your life and just fit so perfectly with you and your son, that beautiful kind of a synergy that took place that just was so perfect and almost like he was there your entire life.
Absolutely. And yet, even in that, all of the stories and the conditioning that I hadn't worked on because I hadn't been in a relationship then had to come to the surface. So then the mind goes into all those new stories. So now I'm in a relationship and it's beautiful. New stories are created. Because again, the thoughts will always come. And they'll create stories. It's whether we believe them or not. So every experience is going to bring new stories. And it's just always about being conscious enough to recognize that I'm never any of them. Never any of them.
Great advice. And when you were sharing about your son, seeing him when he was older, do you feel that, because people ask me about who are the guides, and I sometimes say they are my future self and they are my children in the future as well.
Yes.
Which are extensions of ourself and our soul too, right? That have that understanding and perspective on that other level.
Absolutely. My son is my elder. He's 10 years old and I call him my elder. He is wise beyond his years, as most children are. You look into those eyes and you just know that he remembers. And even though I experienced him as his adult self, again, there is no time or space. That's an illusion. His adult self came to me specifically in that moment to recognize that there was more to do here. I needed to know that he needed me. in the physical presence of growing up to be his mother. We had that agreement, and it was all perfect. Even my killing myself was perfect.
Mm-hmm. And in a sense, it was symbolic too. It was symbolic and metaphorical. I think we kill ourselves often in daily life as well.
Yes.
In order to give birth to new selves constantly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that fully.
What about with the guides, as far as, I get these questions all the time, but it'd be great to get your perspective on it, to share with people. Do you ever share with people the details of their guides, their names? Because all these things, even though they use these names, they really are these infinite beings that use whatever kind of reference point to relate to us. And anything you want to share with people about guides?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, but I've learned to stop saying I don't get that information, because as soon as I say that, the next day it's like I've got the download.
You gotta watch the finite things, yep.
Yeah, so I used to say to people, I often don't get names of guides, and now they make sure to give me a name. Mm-hmm. Names are for us to link to. On the other side, there is no wording. It's all telepathic, it's all vibrational, and they answer to whatever we call them.
Right.
To me, the guides are written into our chart exactly as intended. So we all have a guide that I call our birth guide that comes with us in the transition into the physical and goes out with us in the transition to the physical. Often that birth guide is someone that we've been a guide for at another stage. Mm-hmm. And then we have intermediary guides that come throughout our experience. So when I went through my divorce, I had a guide that would have come at that time that was an expert in that area that would have helped me.
Because sometimes you can check in on somebody and they may have 2 guides, and then another time they're going through a hard time and then there's 14 guides.
Exactly. And these guides are just like in the human realm. They are experts in an area. They come forward. There's often a warrior guide. That warrior guide will come in when we're in a place of fear, or there's a guide who's here for joy or education. They're experts in an area, and they come forward in our experience right when we need them. Yeah. So in my sessions, typically guides will come through to remind people to remember that something's going on and that they're there. They're not alone in this experience. They have this guidance to call on them, that our guides in the non-physical won't busy themselves in our experience without our request. They'll do exactly what's intended in our chart, but that we can call on them and ask for additional support. So...
And how do you recommend people connect with their guides? Because so many people are saying they can't connect with their guides, they can't hear them, how come you can, and stuff like that.
My recommendation is don't be tied to hearing or feeling them or seeing them. Know that they're there and speak with them. Mm-hmm. Call them closer. It's like ringing a doorbell. The more you ring it, the closer they come. Energetically, we create these barriers by our disbelief that they're even there. Mm. I tell people, have you ever pulled your heart out of your chest to see that it's beating?
Oh, nice.
You've never done that. Nice. You just trust that it is. Do you drive your car at night and get out of your car every 10 feet and run out and look to see that the road's still there? No, you just trust that it is. It's the same with this guidance that other people can't see. It's there. Talk to it. Experience it, whether you see it or feel it or taste it or touch it. Just know that it's there, just like your heart is beating in your chest.
Wow, well said.
Call it forward and ask for its help.
And they ring you up too sometimes. They're ringing in the ears. That's them calling you.
Absolutely.
But they still don't feel like, okay, they can talk to their guides, but how do they get their message back? How can they get them to hear and know the difference between their mind and their guides? That's another big one I get all the time.
I do too. What I say to people is this: the best time to communicate with the other side is when you're sleeping, because your ego and all of your humanness slows down. Mm-hmm. Right before you go to sleep, ask for them to come to you. Ask for them to bring an experience to you, whether you remember it or not, and do this every night. At some stage, I promise you will have an experience. The unconscious mind gets quiet when you're sleeping, and that's when they can come close. I tell people, keep a journal next to your bed and write down whatever you remember as soon as you wake up, and slowly these things will piece together. It may be a feeling or a color or a thought. it's always bringing the experience closer to you. And the more you ring that doorbell, the closer they come.
Okay, and how do they know if they're dealing with something that is of good intent or not?
Oh, your body is the best pendulum in the world. You just ask, is this from love? Yes or no. Feel the body. Kinesiology never lies.
Hair standing up on the back of the neck usually tells you no.
Yeah, you know when it doesn't feel right. We just know. We doubt ourselves, but ask, is this from a place of love? Yes or no? And you'll feel it. You'll feel it in the body. If this feels that it's not from a place of love, discard it. Say it's not welcome here. But if it's from a place of love, allow it, and then ring the bell more and more just by calling it closer.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wonderful. Anything else you wish to share, Kelly, that you feel is important for people to know? Or
I think the most important things we've covered, but I think to leave people with this one thing, we become so heavy in this life. You know, in my own death, there was a heaviness. I think just when we get in the heaviness of life, stop and breathe just for a few minutes. Just really come out of the emotion of whatever's arising. Because if you're feeling heaviness, you're emotively involved. Just breathe and say, I trust this. Trust this. And breathe and don't resist. Know that you are love and you are loved in every way. You're never this physical body. You never were. I think that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kelly. It was really wonderful getting a chance to finally do this interview with you.
I know. I'm so grateful, and I really wish you well in your travels and hope that you stay in touch with all of us during that.
Of course I will.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.